Hello, I'm Mary Schmidt-Campbell, and as 10th president of Spelman College, I am so pleased to wish all of you Happy Founders Day. Today is April 11th, 2020. On this very day, 139 years ago, Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles conducted the first day of class of the Atlanta Baptist Female Seminary in the basement of Friendship Baptist Church. What brave women they were. The two teachers, white Baptist missionaries, traveled all the way from Salem, Massachusetts to Atlanta, determined to start a school for newly emancipated Black women. On this day, we celebrate the fortitude and vision of Sophia Packard and Harriet Giles. We celebrate, too, the many other women and men who helped found and shape this remarkable school. Atlanta's Black community welcomed the new school with open arms. In the Spelman archives, I love reading the encouraging notes that came from the late 19th century Atlanta residents. The notes were often accompanied by donations of $1 or $2 from members of the community who just wanted to show their support. Father Frank Quarles, the pastor of Friendship Baptist Church, offered Miss Packard and Miss Giles the basement of his church for their first classroom. And on that first day, April 11, 1881, 10 Black women and 1 Black girl showed their faith in the promise of our school when they showed up for class. One of the first 11 students was a married woman by the name of Margaret Petty Nabrit. Years after she attended, Mrs. Nabrit's son, the Reverend Nabrit, recalled his family's great pride at his mother's determination to attend this new school to learn how to read so that she could read the Bible and write letters for her family. Sophia Packard and Harriet Giles must have been deeply moved and motivated by this show of faith and determination they witnessed every day as more and more Black women showed up. Poet Sonia Sanchez captured the feeling of these beginnings in her poem, A Love Song for Spelman. Sister Sanchez writes, "We begin with 2 women seeing the voice of God in the eyes of Black women." Sister Sanchez goes on to write of the students, "We begin with a love for freedom and a thirst for learning, tongues heavy with words." By the turn of the century, the Atlanta Baptist Seminary had become Spelman Seminary. The name Spelman was chosen to honor the family of the wife of John D. Rockefeller. Laura Spelman's family had been an ardent abolitionist, their home a stop on the Underground Railroad. At his wife's urging, Mr. Rockefeller paid off the mortgage on the former Union barracks that would eventually become our beautiful Spelman Oval. For over a century, a member of the Rockefeller family has been on the board of the college. The support of the family continues to this day. After World War I, in the midst of Jim Crow, Spelman Seminary became Spelman College. Spelman alumna Alice Walker, in her Pulitzer Prize-winning novel The Color Purple, as one of her characters referred to Spelman at this moment in time as astonishing. A 1938 graduate of this astonishing Spelman College, Dovie Johnson Roundtree, who went on to become one of the nation's great civil rights attorneys, wrote about her years at Spelman during the heart of the Depression. She wrote that even in the 1930s, Spelman was a bed of insurrection, designed to train young Black women to think, to hold jobs, to become leaders. That was Spelman's mission. It is no surprise that by the 1960s, these bold-thinking Spelman women, like Rosalind Pope, Doris Smith Robinson, and Marion Wright Edelman, were at the forefront of the change brought about by the Civil Rights Movement. And so the world continues to change, spinning out one great Spelman sister after another. We can all call out some of the names: Matrawilda Dobbs, Dr. Audrey Manley, Judge Brenda Cole, Roz Brewer, Jerry DeVard, Dr. Evelyn Hammonds, Dr. Deborah Prothro Stitt, Pearl Clay, Stacey Abrams, Dr. Beverly Guy Sheftall, LaTanya Richardson Jackson, Tayari Jones, Cara Johnson Hughes, Aaliyah Jones Harvey, Jay Farrell, Nzinga Shaw Washington, LaShonda Holmes. I could go on and on. You, my Spelman sisters, are now facing one of the most challenging crises of the 21st century. On this Founders Day, let us all take strength from the persistence and perseverance embedded in Spelman's past. Let us continue to draw on our deep sense of common purpose and shared mission to educate Black women to become global leaders. If we were gathered in person, the seniors would be sitting in front of me, dressed for the first time in their academic regalia, and the first-year students behind them, dressed in their white attire. Seniors, Founders Day is the first ceremony that marks your passage from student to alumna. First year, we present the seniors to you every year at Founders Day and cheer their hard work, focus, and tenacity. We salute the faculty and staff who were by their sides every step of the way and continue to stand by you during these difficult times. We salute all of our Spelman alumni who have been so steadfast in their support of the college during this crisis. Let us all draw strength from this Founders Day as a celebration of our persistence as a college and our courage and our abiding faith. Be safe and be well.
Testimony. I didn't make it on my own. I'm not standing here all alone. It was Jesus who gave me the opportunity. Look at me, I'm a testimony. Look at me, I'm a testimony. I didn't make it on my own. I'm not standing here all alone. It was Jesus who gave me the opportunity. Look at me, I'm a testimony.
I am a testimony.
Every Spelman student is a testimony.
Every alumna is a testimony.
This ritual is a
testimony of prayers answered, prophecies realized,
And a mission of excellence and service that has guided us and defined us for 136
When
years.
people ask how Spelman College, year after year, decade after decade, produces women who are scholars and artists and change agents, we journey to the past to 1881. 18 years after the Emancipation Proclamation.
In that year, Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles heard the ancestors' prayers lifted up to the heavens.
I want my children.
and in a melodious duet that to this very day, reaches high notes in the Spelman hymn, they said, send me,
Children, go where I send thee. How shall I send thee? I'm gonna send thee two by two.
And so it was that Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles traveled from the east, where they knew comfort, to the south, where they saw need.
And when they arrived, they saw the miracle that would become Spelman College. For as it had been prophesied,
11
11 women and girls had begun a walk
that would change history.
Can't you see them?
I see them.
I see them.
President Campbell sees them.
They are walking from their dwelling places to the basement of Friendship Baptist Church.
They are adorned in garments womenkin, stitched with sturdy and loving hands.
Can't you hear them?
I hear them.
I hear them.
President
They
Campbell
are
hears
praying
them.
and singing and rejoicing.
Is the old ship of Zion. 'Tis the old ship of Zion. 'Tis the old ship of Zion. Get on board. Get on board.
These 11 women and girls were the first students of the Atlanta Baptist Seminary.
3 years later, in 1844, this seminary
1844.
became the Atlanta Baptist Seminary for women and girls.
4 decades later, in 1924, this seminary became Spelman College.
I don't feel no waste time. I've come too far from where I started from.
I have a testimony today.
Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
We have a testimony.
We have a testimony.
We have a testimony. A testimony that lifts up for praise 11 women and girls whose thirst for education and whose vision for a new and better world have turned the tassel for over 100,000 alumni of Spelman College.
Opened the gate to over 2,000 students currently enrolled at Spelman.
And in the coming centuries,
Yea, forever.
we'll open the gate wide to the yet unborn.
We have a testimony today.
We give thanks today for our 11 founders.
And our 10 presidents who answered the ancestors' call.
Each of them served Spelman College with distinction and with love.
Sophia B. Packard.
Harriet E. Giles.
Lucy Hale Tapley.
Florence Matilda Reed.
Albert E. Manley.
Donald M. Stewart.
Janetta Besh Cole.
Audrey Forbes Manley.
Beverly Daniel Tatum.
And our 10th president.
Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her?
Dr. Mary Schmidt Campbell.
Who serves Spelman with vision and with love.
Under her leadership, we will never thirst for achievement.
I be your shelter. I'll be your land. I'll be your everything. I'll be your friend. I'll be your water. When you're thirsty and dry.
are blessed women.
I am a blessed woman.
Blessed.
All of Spelman women are blessed.
Blessed by parents and family and community who helped us make it to Spelman.
Blessed because we are loved by women and men at Spelman who in their various assignments answer our many needs as students who will become writers and artists,
engineers and scientists,
and
attorneys and public servants,
activists,
presidents of colleges and universities and corporations, change agents.
Prediction. The first woman president of the United States will be a Spelman woman.
We're walking in power, we're walking in miracles, we live a life of favor, 'cause we know who we are. We're walking in power, we're walking in miracles, we live a life of favor, 'cause we know who we are.
We know who we are.
We are women.
Women, Spelman women, who choose to make the world what it can be and must be. This is our testimony.
There is no institution more extraordinary, more distinctive, more deserving of applause, awards, and accolades than our beloved Spelman.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
No, 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 no more tears. It's gonna be all over. See you no more about my peace.
To all assembled here in Sisters Chapel for this 138th Founders Day Convocation, welcome. Grateful and humbled, I am truly honored to receive this honorary degree from my alma mater, Spelman College. I am who I am because of Spelman and the many gifts that it has given me. The learnings it has shared, the doors it has opened, the worlds and people it has introduced me to. Words are too imperfect to describe the joy. Time is much too short to count the many, many ways that Spelman has touched and molded my life. This is truly an undeserved honor for me and one for which I am and will be eternally grateful. However, I would like to submit to you, graduating class of 2019 and the first year class of 2022 and all the students in between, that indeed each and every one of you, students here at Spelman College, are also receiving a very special honor today. That honor began with your acceptance to Spelman College. Your status as a student within our institution makes you unique and bestows upon you a very special honor. The mission of Spelman College is to train Black women to become global leaders. We truly believe that our Spelman students are women who choose to change the world. You were selected to meet that goal, to do that work, to dream those dreams. However, do not be confused. Our inclusion in this cohort does not make us elite. It simply gives us a larger degree of responsibility, a bigger job to fulfill. So we must all remember that with honor comes responsibility. Although honor is earned, oftentimes through great and tireless effort, it is not an isolated acclaim. For with those accolades of honor and praise come the burden of responsibility. How honored and privileged we are to be a part of the Spelman College family. Yet, with that honor comes responsibility. One of my favorite definitions of responsibility comes from the Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman, a noted liberation theologian and a personal hero of mine. His definition, he says, "A crown is placed above our heads that for the rest of our lives we are trying to grow tall enough to wear." A crown is placed above our heads that for the rest of our lives we are trying to grow tall enough to wear. Spelman has placed such a crown and also given us the challenge, the responsibility of reaching that goal. With the honor of being a member of the special Spelman Sisterhood comes the responsibility, students, of being the best student that you can be. The communities that you and we have pledged to serve deserve no less than your best. Bringing to this educational experience all of your individual gifts and talents to help you evolve into that woman who will change the world. Each of us must be dedicated to making a difference, a real and positive difference in the world in which we live. We are all on a journey. Class of 2019, you'll be leaving us soon. Class of 2022, your Spelman journey has just begun. Journeys are not always easy or always fun, but journeys take us from where we are to where we need to be. Spelman will be a major factor, influence in your life journey. As Dr. Seuss says, all the places you will go. The world is waiting for you, waiting and needing you to bring the gifts, the talents, and the dreams that only you can bring. Pick a field, any field. Educators, scientists, lawyers, astronauts, artists, ministers, doctors, politicians. Pick a field. And they all need you to grace them with your gifts, your being. They all need strong Black women to enter and make a difference. This experience here at Spelman will open up ideas, concepts, vistas, opportunities, and dreams that you have yet to imagine. Your education here at Spelman is preparing you for careers that are yet to be invented. Oh, all the places you will go. It is true that what you see depends on where you sit. My personal journey has been an exciting one, allowing me to sit in many different seats, seeing the world through different perspectives, learning in many different ways, yet always working to make the world a better place. You too will find your place. Actually, you will find many places to sit and make your mark on the world, molding it, building it, improving it. My sisters, that is your responsibility. A crown is placed above our heads that for the rest of our lives, we are trying to grow tall enough to wear. Thank you.
It's my choice, and I choose to change the world. It's my voice, and I speak with pride and courage. I'll be the change I want to see. I'll scream out loud and say, it's my choice, and I choose to change the world.
Why put off for tomorrow what I can do today? Why wait for another when I can pave the way?
No matter how young or old, I hold the power of change. Whether large or small, few or all, my choice remains the same.
My choice, and I choose to change the world. It's my voice, and I speak with pride and courage. I'll be the change I want to see. I'll scream out loud and say, it's my choice, and I choose to change the world.
Within this institution, we are women of change. The shoulders that we stand upon never received applause or fame. So in their honor I will live each day better than before, to show the world how it takes a choice to change yourself and so much more.
It's my choice, and I choose to change the world. It's my voice, and I speak with pride and courage. I'll be the change I want to see. I'll scream out loud and say, it's my choice, and I choose to change. Change begins today with every choice that we make. Spelman, look around and see where the changes need to be. Let's end poverty, fighting overseas. Another dies from a disease. in hypocrisy, starving on the streets, and no one does a single thing. It's my choice, and I choose to change the world. It's my voice, and I speak with pride and courage. I'll be the change I want to see. I'll scream my out and say, it's my choice, 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 it's my choice. Make a choice, make a choice, make a choice. What's your choice? Choice. What's your choice? It's my choice, and I choose to change the world.
Tell me if you're a witness. Yep, tell me if you're a witness. Raise your hand if you're a witness to the transformative power of Spelman College. To President Campbell, to my president, Dr. Janetta B. Cole, to the Board of Trustees, including former trustee Alan McDaniel and his wife, Sally McDaniel, to the graduating class of 2017, to the faculty and staff that makes them possible, good morning. And to the classes of 2018, 2019, and 2020 looking down and longing on their caps and gowns, it's coming, I promise. I also want to acknowledge my Spelman sisters who are here with me today. If you will stand, Camille Johnson, Ashley Robinson, Latricia Henson, Selena Jagaday. And my actual sisters, Judge Leslie Abrams, the first African American to be a federal judge in the state of Georgia. First African American woman to be a federal judge in the state of Georgia. And my sister, Dr. Audrey Janine Abrams McLean. Last night, I had the privilege of having my brother, one of my brothers, Richard Abrams, here. There are a lot of us, so we have to come in shifts. But none of us would be here without the most extraordinary parents God has ever given any family, and that is my parents, Robert and Carolyn Abrams, the Reverends Robert and Carolyn Abrams. I've been thinking a lot about origin stories lately, about how things come to be. The intrigue of origin stories isn't new, and it does not belong to Marvel Comics. Every culture, every religion, every person grapples with where we begin, where our roots are sunk and where our destinies lead. My origin story at Spelman was a little bit rocky. I got here because my mother tricked me into coming. And I stayed because I met Janetta Cole and I saw Morehouse College. It happens. But that's a story for another day in a different book. But part of my origin story is the myth of the major. I had several during my tenure at Spelman College. I majored in physics and philosophy. I majored in theater. I flirted with chemistry, dabbled in history, wrote by English, and finally Janetta Cole and Dean Freddie Hill said, "You have no idea what you're doing, stop coming." Dean Hill made me write a paper, and Dr. Desiree Pettisclo and Dr. Davis and Dr. Meadows helped me think through what I wanted to be. Because despite what I thought I wanted with each of the majors that I picked, I didn't know where my story was leading. I didn't understand where my origins had me going. But then I thought back to my family, to growing up in southern Mississippi in what my mother referred to as genteel poverty. We had no money, but we watched PBS and we read books. that poverty that shaped who I was and how I thought about government, how I thought about society, how I thought about who I could be. And I wrote a paper that led me to becoming Spelman's first independent major. Basically, that was, I have no idea what I'm going to do, so I'm going to do a few things, and hopefully you'll let me out, and it worked. But Founders Day is about the celebration of Spelman's origin story, about Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles, about Frank Quarles in a basement in a church just a little past slavery's ending days. But more than their transformative investment in that which will become our alma mater, I'm humbled by the story of 11 women and girls who gathered in that basement to become the first Spelman women. These women had been defined by their origins in terrible and horrific ways, first as chattel, and then as freed slaves, as though the juxtaposition of freedom and slavery can ever truly be justified or explained. But in that basement, gathered around the fire of new knowledge, these women wrote their own origin stories, their own beginnings. They refused to let origin dictate their ambition, and they begat thousands of women who call themselves Spelman women today. As I said, I'm born of two people who are in their own ways the result of retelling your origin story. My parents grew up in segregated, impoverished Mississippi in the 1950s. As my dad likes to say, he grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, but my mom grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. But my father is the first man in his family to attend college, and my mother is the only one of her siblings to finish high school. But she not only finished high school as valedictorian, she went on to college and to hold 2 master's degrees. My dad didn't want to be left out, so he got one too. But my parents' origins were written by legal segregation, by a law that said that they were separate and, my God, they were not equal, by malignant neglect of their nation of origin, a country founded on freedom that forgot what freedom meant. Yet they refused to allow their beginnings to dictate who they would become, what they could accomplish. And in a single generation, my parents produced 2 PhDs, 2 attorneys, a social worker, and a young man who's going to figure it out one day. Not bad for an origin story. And I stand here today rewriting my own story with a pen handed to me by Reverend Robert and Carolyn Abrams, by Spelman College, and by the women and some men who shaped my future. I stand here in defiance of what my mother called our genteel poverty, because my mother and my father and my family and Spelman College taught me that where you begin does not dictate your ambition and where you will end. I come to this podium with a very interesting title. My title is Minority Leader, yet another dichotomy. A binary that seems to suggest there's no way you can be one and the other, but Spelman College exists because it produces minority leaders. Because there is no dichotomy in the name. It is a test and a testament to who we are and whose we are. There is power in the role, the power to lift up those who see themselves as too low, because when you've been a minority, you know where to look, and that's not always up. Sometimes it's down. When you've been a minority, you understand that the fact that you know more than the person beside you may be ignored because of the color of your skin or the extra X in your chromosomes. There is power in the ability to stand up and declare yourself able to silence stereotypes. So I found out there's no dichotomy in the title of minority leader. Because being a minority leader means that I'm responsible for defying expectations. That I don't have to change who I am to be what I will be. That the fact that my hair can be processed, twisted, tied up, braided, or just left to hang out and do whatever it wants does not diminish my ability to lead a generation and to lead a community and to lead change. That the fact that our skin can range in hue from ivory to ebony means that we understand the entirety of humanity, not just one little speck. We defy expectations because we come here and we learn, and we lift up those around us, and we remember that outside of Spelman's gates are women and men who need our help. And we make certain that we spend every day serving those folks. My parents taught us that no matter how little you have, there is always someone with less, and it is your job to serve that person, not out of obligation, but out of necessity. Because if you are a minority leader, the only way to win is to make yourselves the majority. I'm a minority leader because my parents and my family and my Spelman taught me to strive for more, to understand that I could have prosperity, not poverty, that I could have success, not just survival, and that I could be a mayor or a president or maybe even governor of the state of Georgia. But what is at stake for you when you walk through these halls, when you leave this campus, when you go into the world that's not ready for you? What is at stake is that we are the solution to the ills of our society, to the redlining and gentrification that happens all around us, to the scourge of poverty and the ignominy of mass incarceration, to pay inequity and religious discrimination and bigotry that is practiced by the highest offices in our land. We are responsible for solving those ills because we know the solution, because we know what to do. First, we have to speak up. Say, speak up. Speak up. We have to use social media as more than an echo chamber and a place to see ourselves. We have to be willing to speak truth to power and tell the stories of those who don't have an internet connection, who don't have a smartphone, but have stories that need to be told. We have to do what? We have to stand out. Say, stand out. We have to run for office or run a company or run a campaign and sometimes just run our mouths until people listen. Because when you speak up, you must stand out, because if you don't stand out, then somebody's going to stand on you. So what are we going to do? We're going to first do what? And then we're going to spark change. Say, spark change. We are this generation. We are the women of Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles. We are the women of the original 11. We are the women who will make America great, who will make the nation greater than the small imaginations of those who swear they know what they're doing. We are the ones who will write new origin stories and tell new tales about who we are and whose we are and why we're better than anybody could imagine. Because my Spelman sisters, we are the progeny of greatness. We are cloaked in the skins of African women who refuse to allow their humanity to be denied by slave owners or Jim Crow or grotesque bigotry. We refuse to allow ourselves to be defined by low expectations or stupid stereotypes. We are the product of grace and the inheritor of a mighty obligation that teaches us daily to rewrite our stories, to own our own futures without hesitation, but with the understanding that we will be the women who save our nation and change our world. I am honored to get this degree today because it proves that I'm doing something right, even just a little bit. I'm honored to get this degree because I get to come back to my Spelman College and I get to see extraordinary women bear witness and offer testimony. Because we leave Spelman every day, we go back to our dorms, we go off campus, we go into the world after you graduate. But we leave Spelman lifted by the legacy of those 11 women, driven by the memory of where we begin, but more than anything, most profoundly, responsible for the world we will make. Thank you, Spelman College.
Happy Founders Day, my Spelman community. My name is Nia Page, and I proudly serve as the 78th Student Government President here at Spelman College. Most of us are familiar with the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Like every student at Spelman College, this global pandemic has completely changed my current life. And like many students, especially the freshmen and seniors, I've been grieving because of this. But upon weeks of reflecting in my new quarantine way of life, the 21 days since we've had to move off of Spelman College, I've come to understand through my denial, anger, grief, bargaining, and depression what exactly I was grieving about Spelman College. I was not grieving my classes exactly. Honestly, the break was much needed. Nor was I grieving my dorm room, although I will always love HH, air conditioning or no. I was not grieving my friendships, because I know the Spelman sisterhood is true, and I would undoubtedly see my friends again. And I definitely was not grieving Atlanta City itself. I was never exactly a city girl. Over these weeks of self-isolation, I came to realize what I was grieving was not exactly tangible. Through my 5 stages of grief, my denial, thinking the virus would be gone in a few weeks and I'd be able to come back to Spelman. Through my stage of absolute anger towards the government and society I believe did not properly react to this virus to avoid me having released Spelman. Through my stage of mental self-bargaining, hoping that if Spelman just made every student wear a mask and keep far apart from each other, maybe we could come back to campus. Through my stage of depression, just sitting there for days, longing to be back at Spelman College, reading about the struggles of my fellow Spelman sisters and feeling helpless, wanting more than anything to feel embraced by the community that has become entwined in my very identity. I finally came to the last stage of grief, acceptance, and I realized what I was grieving. When I inducted the class of 2023 into Spelman College earlier this year, I told them Spelman has stood strong through 139 years, 50,769 days, and it will remain so indefinitely. Because it is more than simply the iconic Spelman gates, the Archway, Packard, Rockefeller, or Manly. It is a global sisterhood. It is a community. It is the intangible of Spelman College that makes outer walls remain, as our hymn states. I was grieving the intangible, what cannot be described in a few words about Spelman College. It was a grief for something that I never physically even touched, but which fundamentally changed me and I missed. Spelman College embodied more to me than I can ever encapsulate into words. It is a home for someone like me who's lived in 6 different states. It is a global community. It is a sisterhood. It is a family. It is a pure representation that systematic injustice ingrained into the very fabric of American society could not 139 years ago and cannot today stop the education of black women. It is proof that the African diaspora is omnipresent and impregnable. It is Sophia and Harriet's stand against Jim Crow, America, and it is their dedication to the education of black women. 1,452 days ago, on August 11, 2016, I walked through the Spelman gates and joined this community. I was not prepared for how fundamentally Spelman College would change me. 4 years later, and I do not recognize the first year who first entered through the gates of Spelman. I have changed, and the change was beyond academic, beyond intellectually. I changed in a way I cannot conceptualize into words. I changed because of a culture, a community. I changed because of the intangible of Spelman College. Regardless of what this world will hold ahead for us in the future, I do know that each of my 1,452 days as a Spelman student has prepared me for what I now face beyond these gates. This path is terrifying, and this new pandemic has affected us all. But each and every Spelman student, regardless of how lost you're feeling at this time, regardless of what stage of grief you're currently coping with, you are not alone on this path. Behind us stands a 139-year-old sisterhood, and ahead of us, Spelman will still stand, and our sisters will build upon the legacy we are leaving now. Spelman is more than just walls, an archway, or a gate. It is a community. It is a very way of living. It is still here because we made the choice to change this world, and Spelman's time is not over.
Thank you, Nia. Those were stirring words. 1,452 days. Happy Founders Day, Spelman College. And so the world continues to change, spinning out one great Spelman sister after another. Seniors, your time has come. It is your time to go out and be a leader, a global leader, an unapologetic black woman in these unprecedented times. We know the world will be well because you are in it. We have great faith in you. First years, your journey continues, and you will gain strength every week, every month, and every semester you are here. And we will be here with you every step of the way. We know that you will take your place in the coming years in the proud lineage of Spelman College sisters, undaunted by the fight.
So now it's time to bring this to a close, and let me just share with you, we'll first sing the Spelman hymn, then we'll invite Reverend Guidry to come up and to deliver the benediction.
In 1934, when Mrs. Eddie Money Shively graduated from Spelman College, many pandemics had threatened the health and the wellness of global, national, and local communities. And many pandemics have threatened our communities since. But I believe that she penned that line, undaunted by the fight, knowing that no matter what the fight was, Spelman has been here and Spelman will still be here. And she was right. Because through all of this, even in this current moment, Spelman has been here, fighting every good fight, not just against sickness and illness, but against every form of inequity and injustice. Perhaps we didn't fight without an effect or a pain, and perhaps we didn't fight even without a casualty or two. But this is what matters, that we kept on fighting. We kept on showing up to the fight. Why? Because we are undaunted Spelman women. And as we are concluding today's virtual convocation, yes, this was not ideal. No, this is not what we saw coming for our turn of the decade Founders Day. But this is what it is. It is a sign that Spelman is still here and we're still undaunted by every fight. We are undaunted Spelman women. And as such, we see these kinds of events as an opportunity to grow wider, to go deeper, to be broadened, as an opportunity to tighten our bonds and the sacred sisterhood that we share. As undaunted women, we now lean on the traditions that have been handed down to us. We lean on each other as sisters, as siblings, and most importantly, we lean on our almighty God, no matter which name you call that God, who gives us the strength to keep fighting and to keep being undaunted. And so as we sign off, as we log off in our respective locations today, go in the spirit of undauntedness. Keep standing strong, no matter where you are. Keep going, knowing that your sister is standing by, even if they're standing at a distance. And most importantly, keep the faith. Keep believing that at the appointed time, we will be back together again, standing together, marching together, holding hands together, going forward together, fighting every fight together, undaunted. Because that's what we do. That is what undaunted Spelman women do. Go in peace, go in power, and go in love until we meet again. God bless you.